Entitled mom goes berserk on a random dude at a food court. Got some updates going on right as we look. Or is that yeah, that's going up, right? I'm blind. I can't tell. I thought it went from like a 125 to a 115. I'm hallucinating, probably. Okay. This happened a few years ago, and I just remembered it browsing this up. What does M mean? What does M mean? It was a regular weekday, and I went to have lunch with my then girlfriend, who worked at a mall. She had her lunch break exactly at noon. So when I get there, the food court is insanely packed with practically all the tables taken. As we were waiting for our food, we see the following drama unfold. A nerdy-looking guy gets his order from the Chinese food place. Nearby, a wild Karen appears, clutching a tray with pizza and soda for her crotch monkey. Dude, I call them crotch gremlins, but you know, that's not too bad, far off. When we're working at the pizza joint, dude, you got these fucking kids walking around just being the most obnoxious little shits in existence. Just like making noises, grabbing on like the railing. You've got like those, they're like black poles, and then they have these like, cloth pieces which like extend and connect to the other black pole. Dude, fucking hate when kids mess with that shit. Like detaching it and wrapping around shit and like, dude, woman, your child is right behind you touching that shit. Do you not have a care in the world, you stupid bitch? Karen is looking for a table and spots a small two-seater nearby. However, the table is filthy. With spilled soda and bits of food, she makes a face of disgust and continues on her search. The nerdy guy sees the same table, puts his tray on one of the chairs, and uses some of his napkins to carefully clean the table. With the table more or less clean, he proceeds to sit down to eat. Karen looks back and sees that the guy is sitting at the now clean table. She grabs her kid and dashes back to it. She proceeds to scream at the top of her lungs at the hapless Chinese food-loving soul that has dared to sit at her table. The guy tries to get a word in, but she continues her tirade non-stop for a solid 5 minutes. How dare he steal the table from her and her precious baby? By now, everybody around has fell silent and is just staring at this majestic beast, the Karen, in her natural habitat, screeching as loudly as her vocal cords allow her. Then, without warning, and before her victim can even pronounce a single word, she takes her kid's soda from her tray and pours it all over the dude's food. The guy just stares at her in shock. The kid starts crying. Everybody just stares. My girlfriend runs to get a nearby security officer. Karen sees her talking to the officer and panics. She throws her tray to the floor, grabs her kid by the arm, and hightails it as fast as her appendages allow her. I love the usage of these words. Appendages, habitat. It's nice. It's a good story. Meanwhile, the kid wails behind her, hungry and thirsty. We went over to talk to the Karen's victim for a couple of minutes. Poor guy had only had half an hour lunch break, and now all he had on his plate was nasty soup composed of sugar water, carbonation, and fried rice. To this day, I still remember his face of defeat in the face of a Karen. This doesn't seem too outlandish. It's definitely something aggressive. This is really aggressive Karen. Although, I've seen videos of Karens do worse. I can definitely see this shit going on in real life. Just the fact that he got his fucking lunch ruined, dude. It'd be nice if someone had, like, you know, helped him get another meal, or if the restaurant, like, saw, and he's like, hey, this bitch just poured carbonated soda all over my meal. Can I get another meal, please? I don't know. That does sound pretty shitty for the store, though, because then they have to, like, refund his meal or something. And that might hurt business, you know? Although, at the pizza restaurant, we fucked up a lot of pizzas, and it didn't really hurt our budget, so... Yeah, I guess it depends on the store or the restaurant. We're a bigger corporation, so it's not that bad. But if you're like a small mom and pops, I can see that hurting you. So it'd be nice if someone pitched in and helped him get a replacement meal, dude. That fucking sucks that his food got destroyed. I really feel for this guy, because eating with what little time you have is already shit enough. But to deal with a streaming Karen as well? Nah, fuck that. I personally would have had a severe lapse of judgment, and possibly lost my job for the reaction towards completely trashing my food. Hope dude got another free meal or extra time to eat or something. That shit is infuriating. The audacity of some people is astounding. Fuck that Karen. She can go make food at home. where she belongs. I don't know about that. In the kitchen, Lamo. And honest to God, wanted to say that, but you know people nowadays, almost 75% are snowflakes. Entitled mom wants me to give up my position at my graduation. This happened 2 years ago. I had 2 graduation ceremonies. One in the 9th grade. Who gets a graduation in the 9th grade? And one in the 10th grade. Who gets a graduation in the 10th grade? I'm absolutely confuzzled and confused. I can understand if you're graduating early, you would have a graduation in an earlier grade. I graduated in the 11th grade, but 2 graduations? I'm confused. This reminds me of like elementary school graduation. It literally means jack shit. I finally stepped out of myself, and I sang in front of over 300 people. You Raised Me Up by Lena Park. I was so happy, and everyone loved it. I could see my grandpa raising his chin because he was so proud. Lol. After that, every teacher knew me as the girl who sang on the ceremony. This seems like an inflated ego, possibly not in this world, not bounded in this world. You don't know, though. At the start of the next year, my class teacher, my classmates, and the vice principal immediately asked me if I could do that again, and I was honored. I was bullied and very unpopular for most of my life, so it was really nice to get praised so much. Although this could definitely be a true story, you know. I also really love to sing, so I obviously said yes. Fast forward till the end of the year, all grades were settled and we only had 3 things left to do. Go on a trip for the class for a week, go on another trip for the class for 1 day, and plan the ceremony. During the week-long trip, our class planned to perform the cup song on the graduation. Every class has to do something with the whole class, doing the cups and background vocals, and with me being the front singer, we trained a lot. I learned the cup thing too, even though I wouldn't be doing that later. It was amazing. Unfortunately, 2 of our classmates were injured in an accident. They came to the ceremony, but they couldn't participate on the cup song. Knowing that we needed these 2, and asked 2 friends from our parallel class to help us out, and they happily agreed. Enters entitled mom, and her kid, entitled kid, was in our parallel class too, and she wasn't happy about the fact that we didn't ask her to join us. Her mom was yelling at us for how we dare exclude her sweet little baby from our class thingy. We explained that we had no space left on the stage for someone else since we needed space for the performance. Entitled Kids wasn't having it. Was this almost 18-year-old woman crying to her like 15 or 16-year-old classmates. Entitled Mom looked at me and grinned. Well, Entitled could be your lead singer then, she said, shrugging her shoulders. I looked confused and told her, sorry, Entitled Mom, but I already do that. We planned for this for weeks now, and the ceremony is in 3 days. I don't think that... Entitled Kid stops me. You just don't want me to be the school star. Now, I was even more confused. None of us would stay at this school, so why would she even care about this? Entitled Kid, I'm sorry, okay, but you can't learn the lyrics. Learn to time everything perfectly with the rest of the class. And since when do you even sing? I asked her. She and her mom would screech at me before running to the principal. My class and I laughed it off and we continued with our preparations. That's a with. This was our last day at the school since we'd go to an amusement park the next day. Then, the other day, the 9th graders would have graduation. Shortly before the end of our session, our class teacher came to us, looking quite down. Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid with raised noses and huge grins on their faces. OP, you and Entitled Kid will sing together on the graduation. Since I don't want to stress her with timing, the rest of you will only do cups, no singing, he said. Everyone was shocked and angry. We all worked so hard on this. Apparently an Entitled Kid cried about getting bullied and stuff by us, so either we'd let her perform with us, or no one will perform. So she joined us. The next 2 days, I wrote her and talked to her on the trip about which part she'll be singing, since we'll split it in 2. She either ignored me, said we'll talk later, or stopped bothering me. In the end, we decided that a minute before the ceremony was started, I gave my friends a look which they returned, and for my part, everything went great. I saw those proud faces on my family and our teacher, and I heard that cup part went well too. I got a bit confused already when the Entitled Kid and I started to sing the refrain together, and it sounded off more like sing talking. When Entitled Kid had to sing alone, though, oh boy. I noticed the grin on the entitled mother faded away, and everyone looked quite funny. Entitled Kid was totally out of rhythm. She screeched the text, and I could hear how her throat got dry. She breathed loudly and missed every single note. I hate people who put periods after every single word. I had to think about how much that hurt later. If you sing wrong, it can hurt, and your voice bands can get damaged. You could tell she didn't warm up or do anything you should do before singing. She didn't even get the text right. I looked at my classmates. They were giving Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid death glares, since they all worked their ass off for this. I then looked at our music teacher, who just gave this "just go through it" face. So when the refrain came again, I'd act like everything was okay. After the ceremony was over, my classmates and I talked through what happened and eventually laughed a bit. Then Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid came again. The Entitled Kid charged at me and pushed me away a bit. I looked at her a bit mad, but also confused. Before I could say something, the boys, who are very overprotective about us girls in the class, stepped between us and glared at the Entitled Kid with looks that could kill. Entitled Mom then yelled at me, "You little bitch destroyed my baby's big day." I then replied, Entitled Kid didn't even know the right text. Plus, now looking at Entitled Kid, she was the one who threw everyone off. Entitled Kid scoffed. "You couldn't even hit a single note. You are a total disaster. That's why I wanted to be the only lead singer." That's where our music teacher, who taught me in singing, stepped in. "Entitled Kid, please leave OP alone now. The next time you get into a project like this last minute, you should at least try to learn the text and some of the singing methods. They all trained this for months. Either you can learn something they trained for months in 3 days, or you can just stay out of it," he said, quite mad. He took our class under his wings and helped us a lot with this project. Entitled Mom wanted to say something, but then my family came to us. They are all huge and look quite intimidating. Entitled Mom just scoffed and pulled her daughter away. End of story. We laughed at the story while drinking some booze and cups they clap with. What? Who drinks booze at 10th grade? What the fuck am I reading, dude? Is this like in Europe or some shit? I don't know. Even though I wasn't on that school anymore, I continued to come for the school band to watch the kids get some lessons from my teacher until 2020, when you know what came. Never saw Entitled Kid again, but I met her brother a while ago. He was very nice and told me his sister is happily married now. Good for her. I just hope she didn't sing at her wedding. Little jab at the end. Definitely a bit over dramatized and probably a little fluffed up, but I think it could be grounded in reality. We'll give it a nice updo. I hope she didn't sing at her wedding either. I imagine she had rather large misunderstanding of her own singing ability. Yes. Yeah, I think so too. If she'd take it seriously, I wouldn't have cared, but she just wanted attention. It was once told my singing voice sounds like a sack of good hats got thrown down a flight of stairs. Is that good? Well, definitely better than Entitled Kid. She sounds like, how to put it, imagine you kick Banshee and his teens right in the balls. That's her singing voice. So I assume this OP is not from America. That's probably... Definitely what I'm getting from this is the OP is from a different country, and I guess the different culture. She's a grunt. Shouldn't have tried to butt in, and the teacher could have just said no. My teacher was a really kind-hearted guy, and tried to make it right for everyone. Plus, he didn't know that it would turn out like this. I'm not mad at him. He meant it well after all. It's odd how I updoots, and it doesn't tell me how many updoots this has. I want to see the updoot number! Enough cringe screeching. See you guys next time, motherfuckers.
I'll face the sun like